How's it going? I'm Andrew with Investors Hub, and I won't be talking for long. I lost my voice over the weekend, and it hasn't come back. I've only found part of it. And my wife says it's sexy, but she also thinks that I'm handsome, so you could see how effective her judgment is. Anyhow, we're going to be talking to Ted Ohashi. He writes the Cannabis Report for Investors Hub, and we're going to be chatting with him like we do every 2 weeks about the cannabis industry. We're going to be talking about Khiron and Lexaria and one other company that I don't think he's ever mentioned in our interviews. So yeah, if you like the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. After a quick disclaimer, we'll hear from Ted. Please note that our videos are not designed to be direct investing advice. Our channel and our content should just be one stop on the journey of trying to find out where to put your money. So you said that you think your cannabis portfolio is set to have a good summer. So is that just your portfolio, or is the cannabis industry as a whole looking up?
Well, actually, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I'm quite optimistic about the cannabis group right now. It's been in a correction since February. The indexes have come down a fair amount, in the 25 to 40% range, and so, I'm expecting a turnaround there. Not so much in the Canadian licensed producers, but in the other companies. And then, in addition to that, it's because of the outlook for 3 or 4 of the companies in the portfolio in the very short run. Companies that we've talked about a lot, such as Lexaria or Khiron or Jushi. These are all companies that have the potential to do extremely well, say, over the next 3 to 6 months. And so that's why I'm pumped up.
So I've got an underperforming bit of my portfolio, or I got some extra cash in my pocket. So why should that money go into the cannabis industry, and why now?
Well, because the cannabis industry is a high growth industry, and it's going to be, and it doesn't involve the usual kinds of risks when you say that, such as projecting whether a technology is going to be successful or whether somebody's going to buy one brand of automobile instead of the other. Cannabis has been around for, I think, 10,000 years. And, the last 50 or 70 years, it's been around, but it's been in the underground economy. And so now the companies, the countries, and the states in the US are gradually beginning to legalize. And as they do that, I mean, we know the demand's there because people were buying the stuff before legalization came on. Not only that, I think what the last 70 or 100 years has done to cannabis is it's directed scientific interest away from the plant. I think the way it's going, there are a number of diseases or problems or challenges that can be helped by medical cannabis. And the companies are now starting to establish that. And sooner or later, the scientists will get involved as well, and we'll be off to the races. So to me, it's an industry that is going to grow quite quickly over the next 10 years for the reasons that I mentioned. So if you accept that, then now's the time to invest.
So you've sold me on the idea of cannabis, but I don't want to invest in any individual companies yet. I just want exposure, just want to dip my toes in. So what kinds of exchange traded funds, kinds of ETFs should I be looking at?
Well, I mean, what I would tend to do in that case is look at some of the larger ones. I mean, I don't recommend the ETFs in particular because they're sort of doing what I do. And I like to think that I can do it better. But if you're somebody that wants a fully diversified portfolio in the cannabis group, then certainly ETFs are the way to go.
So are there any interesting new developments in your model portfolio?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's been really quite hectic of late. Let's talk a little bit about Lexaria. I think I explained to you, Lexaria has laid out this quite extensive test uh, program over the balance of 2021, where they're taking their dehydrotech technology and combining it with various ways to use it to assist in things like hypertension or antiviral drugs or nicotine or any of these kinds of NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. I mean, these are all areas that any one of them could be a bonanza for Lexaria. And they're doing the testing over the summer. The hypertension results could start flowing as early as later this month, certainly in July and August. So I'm quite enthusiastic about that company. Khiron, we've talked a lot about here, a little company out of Colombia. They're like the little engine that could. They just keep going and going and going and doing all the right things. Recently, they just had their largest ever delivery of cannabis to the German market. And so that's a company that I also think people are going to finally cotton on to the fact that, hey, these guys know what they're doing. They've got a great business plan. Opening these remote clinics the way they are in Latin America and maybe next year in Europe it is a formula that, it's, I like to think of it a little bit as Starbucks opening cafes. And so it's a company that I think has tremendous growth prospects and is looking good. And I mean, I could go on and on about the companies, but those are two good ones for this week.
So I was reading through the Cannabis Report, and I saw that you had a company in there called Plant-Based Investment Corp. I
Yeah,
don't think I've seen that in there recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
sure. PBIC is I guess you would call it a closed-end fund that invests in cannabis companies. The cannabis portfolio is professionally managed by, I think it's Stonecastle, Bruce Campbell out of Kelowna, BC. If you watch BNN, he's on there all the time talking about cannabis, and he's got an excellent record. So that's one thing the company does. And as with most closed-end funds, the shares are trading at a discount to what that portfolio is worth. Like a substantial discount. I would say 50, 60, 70% below what that portfolio is worth on the public markets. Part of that reason is the other side of the company is trying to I guess you would call it financial engineering in the cannabis industry. And so they want to find companies, work with them, help them, set them up with other companies that they know of in the industry and create something out of this activity. I think investors are a lot less comfortable with that idea. But nevertheless, I own it because you're buying cannabis for 50 cents on the dollar or 30 cents on the dollar.
So do you have any final thoughts?
No, other than, I don't own any of the shares in any of the companies that I've talked about. So I'm truly independent and look forward to talking to you again in a couple of weeks.
Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you hadn't already. And hopefully my voice will be back by the next video. If not then as soon as possible. And I'll see you again soon.